I am go live and talk about divinely coded. Why is every woman on the planet divinely coded? But I have learned that getting to this. Every woman on the planet is divinely coded. Every woman on the planet is divinely coded by God to protect herself and her family and her legacy by practicing skills where she has to be more and more and more conscious of what she's leaving behind than what's in front of her. So welcome to the Yumminess Revolution. My name is Jo, and I am here because I had a rude awakening when I turned 50 and I left my small hometown and moved to a bigger city. And I divorced my husband of 12 years because I couldn't figure it out. And I started to realize that putting time and effort
than what's in front of her.
And
name is
and let's see, let's turn the volume down here. The time and effort that I put in to my marriage was coming from odd energy. It was coming from energy where I didn't feel quite special or loved. And I couldn't understand why. And his behavior toward me started becoming worse and worse, and I couldn't understand why. But because I married him, I wanted to give it a try. I got into counseling. I really wanted to make it work. And why couldn't I make it work? I couldn't make it work because I was doing too much. I was trying to figure out how to fix a relationship that it was up to him to fix, not me. But because I was so concerned with fixing the relationship, I wasn't living in the relationship. It was something outside of me, something that just, couldn't be beaten into place as I tried to live my career. But in the process of doing that, I found out that working in my career was killing me too. And by the time I was 50, I was a few years out of retirement. I cut bait and I left Erie with as much dignity intact as I could possibly muster. I tumbled into imago therapy, which is relationship therapy. And I'm very grateful to my ex-husband for not showing up for that fateful meeting, because I stayed with this woman for 2 summers, paying cash to figure out why I was allowing people to run all over me. A couple years in therapy myself to figure out some of psychological level of why this is happening, learning some reprogramming with linguistics and practicing that on myself and with therapists and sitting in containers. I can tell you right now that doing too much is going to keep you totally unseen. And with the men in your life, they're going to treat you worse because you're just like them. or worse. And men don't treat each other very well. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Let me know where you are coming in from. And if you want to learn more about how to step into your new self without guilt, without shame, be able to ask the men in your life to step up without guilt and shame, or either one of you trying to make a transaction out of it, right? How do you do that? Well, I came on starting this entire segment by saying that you are divinely protected. And what that means is that God did not put you on this earth without a note in your lunchbox. He made sure that women, for sure, had women in their lives living way beyond men, living a protected life so that they can live beyond men. And the reason why this is so important is because women carry codes with them that they pass on from generation to generation. These codes could never have been written down because men write their codes down. Women don't write their codes down. They would have been destroyed. Maybe at one point we did. But now the wisdom needs to move from generation to generation by protecting our daughters. And women can do this by acting themselves in integrity and showing their daughters how to protect themselves by teaching them how to get back into their bodies and feeling. Because shoving down our emotional our feelings, our emotions, keeping them under wrap because we were out on the workforce, created some sort of dysmorphic lens where we didn't have time for the people that meant the most to us, which was our husbands and our children and our family. Imagine being raised in a household where you were put in daycare all day because your mother wanted her career, or she needed it and needed to bring home money. Imagine the wasted time of that child looking into somebody else's eyes and being coded by someone else. It almost makes my heart sick thinking that that was the way we did it, and it was perfectly acceptable. And we taught our children to do it, so they're doing it. Going to school and getting their master's degree, working full time, and raising an infant. We put ourselves in ridiculous situations because we don't feel safe under the umbrella of just the man providing, because we never learned how. My mother could only teach us that we all throw it together because she really wasn't making the money. So throwing it all together really didn't matter. My dad didn't care how she spent the money as long as we were all cared for and he was able to do his job. It was funny when she would say, I can do it better than him, because he knew all along he created it so that she could do it better than him. Nowadays, we compete against men. We want to show them how competent we are. And in the meantime, we are attracting predators, or we are turning wonderful men that we attract into predators. And I am here to show you how to stop that. So let's stop that right now by dropping into our bodies, taking a deep breath, breathe in, and hold it as long as you can in your lungs. Swirl it around your lungs. Maybe drop a marble in there so you can swirl the marble around and spin the marble around inside your lungs when you take that breath. And then cough it out if you have to. And then take another deep breath. And try to bring that one down as low as you can under your belly button, because that is where the magic lies. So let's talk about this. And I want to start by saying, I understand. It is the juxtaposition of feeling trapped if you are safe, and terrified if you are free. So let's get into that veil, because in Divinely Coded, my incubator for moving into that next identity and finding your calmness and your stillness is going to be much more successful if you practice these and you see where these veils have maybe held you back from asking your husband for something or your friend for something. So let's talk about how this stuff gets tested in different dynamics. Let's start with family dynamics, and here's the test. Will you abandon your boundaries to keep the peace? Yeah, that's a really good test. In my life, I had to figure out how long I was going to sit and shit with my crazy uncles or people in my family that just could not accept me for who I was, no matter how much I tried. And doing more with these people absolutely made them see me as less than, and see me as someone that they could say anything they wanted to. I had to stop that crap out by giving myself boundaries. There it is. And standing firm on my boundaries, that the third time this person says something sideways, I'm out. And I don't even have to know what it is. I don't even have to analyze it. I just get the feeling, zing one, zing two, zing three. I find an excuse to leave because I don't sit and shit anymore. I have learned to embrace that if you cannot appreciate my presence and all the yumminess I bring to it, then you can appreciate my absence. All right, that was fun. All right, so let's take a look at the work hustle dynamic, and let's see where you are tested out of your rest in this dynamic. Will you ignore your purpose for a sense of safety? Ooh, how many of us have worked in jobs that we really didn't like, but they paid the bills? And you were brought here on purpose. You are here. You were born here on purpose. And your lifelong journey is to find out what that purpose is. And God gave you all the tools you need in a note in your lunchbox. And that is your feminine energetics is fed by energies from all over the place. And how you energize with other people, how you communicate with other people, how you bond with other people is based on your state of being. And if we are scattered and running around and hustling, we ignore things like our purpose in order to pay the bills. I want to start my own business, but I felt like I had to pay my own bills in my marriage. I became very sick. And a couple years after I retired, I became very aware that my marriage was a sham. That started my journey. I don't need you to wait 10 years to get to the point where you're ready to move on from the shams that you've created around yourself so that you didn't have to grow, you didn't have to get intimate. And for people that never learned how to get intimate because their parents couldn't bond with them, these are really great tests. Are you abandoning yourself? Are you abandoning your purpose? All right, here's another one. Dating is a sorting system. When you figure out that you are deciding over choosing, that means that you are now filtering over sorting. All right. Now, how does this fit into being divinely coded? And how are you being tested? You're being tested in online dating because of our masculine energy feeding our energetics of dating. Even though we might have beautiful pictures on there, we're coming at it with masculine energy, and we're going through and we are hunting for men, clicking hearts on all the cute men or the men that fall into our parameters. But the fact that the energy feeding this dynamic is coming from your masculine, coming from chasing, coming from hunting, you're getting thrown into a dynamic that doesn't feel good. And if you think of, I'm tired of online dating, I'm taking a break, and then you come back in, and then you're taking a break and you come back in, it's because you're dating from the wrong energy. And divinely coded is the incubator where you come back week after week, after a week of practice of saying no to men or holding your own boundaries of not giving men emotional support until they start stepping up and turning their words into actual 3D things like a planned date. Once we start asking for the bare minimum and standing on that date after date after date, standing on the next minimum he gives, standing on the next minimum he gives until he moves up and gets the hint, you're going to be sorting instead of just filtering and allowing them to just move away. Instead of allowing them to come to you by building a profile that is going to negate 99% of the men that are just out there looking for a good time, and filtering it all the way down into 3 or 4 men, sorting that isn't so hard. But when you think you need the attention of all these men and that you need to go through conversations with all these men, no wonder why you're exhausted. All right. I know there's a delay. So before I talk about the last reason why you need to get into divinely coded, I want to check the chat and see if there's anything going on in there. There, I asked a question. How do you feel like you are chasing in your relationships? You know, whether it is with your family, your daughter, your cabinet man, feeling the chasing energy is exhausting. And the minute you can feel it, you are so on the right track. You don't have to do something about it immediately. You just need to notice it. Ooh, wow, I feel like I'm calling and they're not calling back, or I feel like how many times do I need to put this signal out before they come back? Well, that is your body telling you that you are at the moment where it is time to unmatch these people. Move your focus away from them. If you're on an online dating platform, you can physically click and unmatch them. And if they truly are your man, they will come around again. Holding your standards high is your blueprint for your high standards value man to see you. So you have to hold them high and say no to all the men that can't plan a date, can't generate a conversation after a couple days other than, hi, how you doing? Have you lived here long? I got that from two men on the same afternoon. I thought, are they all playing from the same playbook? And they are. And it's the playbook that I taught them. So I need to change that playbook up around and focus on myself, because focusing on myself is my protection from all these people that aren't going to step up, never will, because they just can't. Not because they wouldn't if they couldn't, I'm sure they would, but they just can't. And sometimes just moving your focus away from them, we call that leaning back in our community. And then putting your focus on something else, like I teach you on your heart, spinning a marble around your body, doing some sort of a pleasure practice like dancing or singing, or inviting a few friends out, decentering yourself from men or a man, or the dating platform when all you are attracting are men that are the hi, how you doing men. Your recalibration is going to do more for the men coming in than you responding to these men. Your ability to take your focus off of that online for, I don't know, maybe 12 hours, 5 hours, and putting it on you, cleaning out a closet, doing a little nesting, making a video so that your $1 million day comes sooner, and then getting back on later when your frustration level is at 0, because your place smells delicious with a candle. You've gotten a couple small loads done, so you're not folding tons of laundry, just a few small loads. It makes it seem like you're living in luxury. That's what's going to help you recalibrate before you get back online, or before you call your mother back knowing she's never going to see you in any of your heartbreaks. So just talking to her about maybe what you learned and maybe what she learned when she does it all over again. All right. The last and the biggest protection that God put in your lunchbox is the divine no. Receiving first before giving anything away. Receiving first. When you receive the information and figure out how you feel, before you give any information away, like your phone number or how you feel, you need to receive and figure out what's going on in that vibration. And doing this on your own with maybe text from a friend, before you do it online and receiving the ridiculousness and the shenanigans from men online, are going to help you calibrate quicker. Because not every man online is bad, but the vast majority of them are only there I don't know if the reasons are good or bad, but they are self-serving, and you don't want a self-serving man. You are not going to switch and turn a self-serving man because of your beauty. He is going to consume you and move on, just like he's done to all the other beautiful, intelligent, badass women out there. Protecting yourself is saying no to a man without a plan. If he's generating, hi, how you doing, a couple days in a row, and there's no plan, but he wants to know where you're from or what you're looking for in a relationship, that's not generating. He's looking for emotional support. He's looking for conversation, or a man that wants to give you his phone number because it's just more convenient for him. But what it does for you is it brings in a man's attention into your private inner circle and inner world where you could get a text at 12. What's he texting you at 12 for? You don't want to put yourself in the position of even experiencing that. So the answer to that is no, thank you. And there's plenty of ways to explain to him what he did wrong. But the best way is just to unmatch him, no matter what comes back. Because even suggesting that you're in that category, he needs to feel your absence more than your presence. And he could be one of the men coming back into hearting you for the second or third time because they're not gaining the access they want. Maybe they learned, maybe they didn't. Either way, unmatching them before you even know if they're a real person is quite a time saver in the online dating. So saying no to shenanigans in order to give out your beautiful emotional support in any sort of conversation, even with a smiley face, even if with a colon and a comma smiley face. Giving that much emotional support out before a man is providing for you, providing an experience, providing a date, providing a reservation link, providing a reason why he is choosing you, is less than what you're going to want every single day for the rest of your life. If you want a man to wake up next to you and say, hey, what's going on? What do you want to do today? And he has no plan, that's going to get old real quick. And if you feel like you need to take over the plans and start planning stuff, that's going to get old real quick. And when you learn how men respond to women who do not act like women, who act like men, you're not going to like it. And I bet you have lived through it. So let's turn that around and let's retrain our men to step up instead of just stepping into a placeholder. Why do women get cats? Maybe a placeholder for her to express her emotions to something living that's not going to weaponize him and shoot him back at her like a 5-year-old boy. Or maybe why a woman gets a dog because she would prefer to walk with the dog rather than hike with a man that she doesn't trust. To hold her when her rent's due. But yet he wants to take up her time and go hiking and have conversations and just bask in her beautiful feminine energy, which of course they do. No shade to any of the men that want to do that, but it's time to step up and earn it before you expect it. So here is a tip I'm going to give you for this last one, which is in order to give the playfulness that a man wants on a date, he needs to provide everything, the plan. When a man says, hey, just pick the place you want, no, thank you. That's all you need to respond. Here's my number. Let's chat about it. I'll send you the reservation once you text me. No, thank you. and allow him to figure it out. If he unmatches you, easy. If he comes back with, oh, okay, then you can just unmatch him. If he comes back with a, I see, I'll have the reservation link in this text before the end of the day. Is Thursday at 6 still good? That's what you're looking for. And if you don't get that, why are you looking for anything? Are you just looking for a playmate? When women adopt the wife frequency, the big vibe, the frequency of her truth, which is that she is sacred, and any person being in her orbit with this gentle, beautiful energy that is compassionate and compelling and fun, but savage, is going to want to be a part of her life. So holding your new identity is going to take practice. That is why I offer you the incubator, so we can come back week after week and practice saying no to men online, allowing them to generate without tampering is all part of us being able to live our beautiful lives without being in fight or flight or freeze or fawn, without us bringing men into our worlds and treating them like pets. And then all of a sudden they turn around and bite us. They hurt us. They hurt our children. They hurt our legacy. They take from us because men are pre-wired to take. And we want them to take, but not from us. So it's time that we stood in our own truth, figured out what we want from men, because it's certainly not money anymore, which makes it the most important part of every single negotiation we have with them, because they are negotiating their access to us, and we need to keep the bar high. You may use terms like, here's my phone number. No, thank you. Why not? Well, what do you think my dad would say if some random man that I didn't even know his last name wanted my phone number? Do you think he would say yes? Kind of puts it in a different light. And you don't even have to explain that, only to men that maybe have been generating and then fell off. Or don't explain it at all. A match. Because they're not your man unless they can withstand that sort of scrutiny. Because the man that's going to be in my life, that I'm going to close my eyes when I go to sleep at night next to, is going to have my back. And if he is paying for every cent of my upkeep and investing all that money, time, and effort into me, I am going to feel safe being around him, because they are wired to protect what they invest. All right. How fun this was to talk about divinely coded with love. That is how our note in our lunchbox is signed. You are divinely coded. Get into your rest. Find your stillness, even through the restless leg syndrome, through the energy running around in your chest that you have to do to-do lists for your to-do list. Getting out of your head that you have to worry about everyone outside of you, because if you don't worry about them, they're going to die. Getting over those fears and seeing those as irrational is going to help you find your purpose, stay on your purpose, polarize everyone around you so that you magnetize your people, which also includes repelling the takers. And that takes time and practice. So check out the chat. I put the link in the chat for Divinely Coded. And if you miss this, the yumminess revolution is your place. I have digital content that is available immediately for your pleasure on how to soften into your relaxation so that you can show up as the powerful matriarch and goddess, not the woman that's scared shitless that this person is going to take advantage of her. So she's going to keep her emotion out of it and just screw them, but from afar. All right, ladies. Good luck out there. And I will see you in all the rooms. Stand that sort of screw. But I'm going to close my eyes and I is going to have my back. And if he is paying my upkeep and investing all that money, time, and effort into me, I am going to feel safe being around him because they are wired to protect what they invest. All right. How fun this was to talk about divinely coded with love. That is how our note in our lunchbox is signed. You are divinely coded. Get into your rest. Find your stillness, even through the restless leg syndrome, through the energy running around in your chest that you have to do to-do lists for your to-do list. Getting out of your head that you have to worry about everyone outside of you, because if you don't worry about them, they're going to die. Getting over those fears and seeing those as irrational is going to help you find your purpose, stay on your purpose, polarize everyone around you so that you magnetize your people, which also includes repelling the takers. And that takes time and practice. So check out the chat. I put the link in the chat for Divinely Coded. And if you miss this, the yumminess revolution is your place. I have digital content that is available immediately for your pleasure on how to soften into your relaxation so that you can show up as the powerful matriarch and goddess, not the woman that's scared shitless that this person is going to take advantage of her. So she's going to keep her emotion out of it and just screw them, but from afar. All right, ladies. Good luck out there. And I will see you in all the rooms.